What's going on, Fortnite fam? Welcome to the finals of the FNCS. It's day number 2. Yesterday set the stage for us coming into today's 6 matches. And after those 6 matches, we will potentially crown brand new FNCS Trios champions. Or could a trio come back, get the back-to-back dub, hold their title? Oh, baby, today's storylines are about to be absolutely insane. It is a pleasure to be with you guys, as always. And what's going on, Party Royale? It's super fun getting to hang out with you guys as well. Make sure to use your favorite emotes and enjoy the show. As always, I can't do this alone. I need the help from some of the very best in the world. It's Reese and it's Levin 2K. Boys, this is it. After 6 matches, we'll know who our champions are. How are you guys feeling? You gotta let me know.
Look, I'm through the roof excitement, you know, as always. But yesterday, the first game started off so hot. I'm thinking we're going to see exactly the same thing today, and it's just going to continue to get better and better up to that final game where we finally get to crown our champions.
Reese, don't even mention heat. Right now in the UK, the sun is shining, the weather's sweet. I'm excited for some Fortnite. You know what I mean? I'm just excited for some Fortnite. It kind of hurts that this is the final day, right? Because you want it to continue. If it could just go on endlessly, I would do that. But it is the final day. We are going to be crowning champions. And, you know, Zeke, like you said, potentially back-to-back champions. Who knows? I'm getting ahead of myself. But look, can't wait for the games.
Oh, man, we're going to get there in just a little bit. The battle bus is getting all warmed up for us. So let's talk about a few things before we take our seats. Now, as you guys know, we're starting the day off in Europe. We've got 6 matches here. If you like what you're watching, then don't forget NA East later on in the day. 6 matches. NA West is our final stop for the last 6, and that will close Chapter 2, Season 6. Now, let's take a look at the overall tournament format bracket. What has led us to this moment in time? Open qualifier rounds, semifinals rounds, a reboot round, and now finals. Yesterday, 6 matches. Today will be the last 6. Reese, this is it. We've got our 33 trios, the very best of the best, and this is that last shot at greatness.
We do indeed. And if you want to know how our top 33 teams made it here, you can see on the left the full way of how they qualified here. So 3, obviously, all full breakdown. 2 days of competition, like we've already mentioned. We saw already 6 games yesterday. There will be 6 games today. We will be recapping yesterday's 6 games a little bit later as well. So look out for that. Remember, these points will be cumulative. So over the 6 games yesterday, those points will carry forward to today, and it'll be the total points who will be crowned our champions. And that's it. Not only are they champions, they managed to get the Axe of Champions as well for placing first. And obviously, beautiful prize money from the top all the way down to the bottom.
Yeah, and these next 6 games is a race to be on top at that end so you can get that Axe of Champions. We've seen some crazy things over the past couple of weeks. Even yesterday, right, we've seen crazy games happen. First game of the day, a 54-point game from No Riley, Reason, and Badil, right? They had a victory hour with 12 eliminations, you know, plenty of points up for grabs. And, you know, we're eventually going to show you guys the leaderboards, but, you know, spoiler alert, there are fine margins, very fine margins. So the ability to just collect points in any way possible is going to be huge for the games today.
Man, and we cannot forget what's on the line. Prize money across 7 regions, but deep in EU, the prize money is absolutely insane. $300,000 for the trio that comes out on top. That final trio left standing, but they will also take home the Axe of Champions. If you've never heard me say it before, well, guess what? It's gold, baby. We've digitized it, we put it in Fortnite, and created a pickaxe that only champions can wield. That's right. There's only 3 in game at the moment, and only your trio's champions can take hold of them in every single one of these regions. Now, speaking of these regions, guess what? Yesterday in Middle East, we got to crown the first set of champions. But Asia and OCE, their games are done, which means it's time to crown new champions there in both of these regions. So congratulations, Alan, Shamoki, and Force, 294 points, 2 victory royales, 53 eliminations, and Reese an average placement of 11.33.
Yeah, these guys were really impressive across all the 12 games, across the 2 days we had, because Asia was probably one of the closest regions coming out of the end of that first day total. There was, I think, 11 points, maybe 20 points between first all the way down till 12th. And look who was in the first place. It was Alan, Shamoki, and Force at the end of first day, and they managed to just maintain that all the way through, placing first into the final game, and they are now our champions. So huge congratulations to these guys.
And as we take a look at the top 10 for the day, or for the 2 days at Asia, it's important to note, right, the top 3 in every single region's finals at the end of the 2 days will auto qualify for the next season's finals. So you can take a look there in second place, Signal, Fousey, Josiah. They will auto qualify and they will be playing together, assuming they sticks with each other, right? As soon as they split up. In the next final, same thing could be said for Ragus, Moffin, and Curran. And Moffin, right, he won FNTS 2 seasons ago. This season, only able to get third. But look, they have another shot to play in next season's finals, and I'm sure he'll be looking to reclaim that axe.
Yeah, hey, I'm not going to complain about a third by any means. But if we move over to OCE, our other region that's already wrapped up as well, Muzz, Looter, and Speedy, the TNA trio, are now 2 times champions. That is back-to-back champions. They won last season in Season 5. They've come back in Season 6. And yes, 2-time champions. So what an accomplishment from these guys. They basically did it in exactly the same format as well. They were roughly 40 points behind at the end of day 1 and managed to have a huge comeback. And when you see the leaderboards, you'll see how far ahead they ended up being. Incredible performance from the TNA trio.
Yeah, big day for them to be back-to-back in such a phenomenal fashion. You can see that 79 eliminations, more than anybody else in the region. You know, they came out hot like the UK weather today. And, you know, no surprise that they were able to walk away with that FNCS championship. Bathan, Zedox, and CEO in second. They finished day 1 in first place, but they weren't able to hold on to that top spot. But it's all right because, you know, second place isn't too shabby and they will be able to play with each other next season as once again, that top 3 does auto qualify for the next finals. Jinx, Alec, and Worthy in 7th, they definitely would have wanted to have a better performance, right? These are some of the premier names out of Oceania. But look, once again, you know, top 10 isn't too bad. They're going to be able to hit the drawing board, come back next season even stronger for the next time round.
That's right. And speaking of a top 10, we got to take a look at EU's current standings, right? Which trios ended in top 10 coming into day number 2. Refsguard, Andretta, Mr. Savage. But right behind them, Hen, Janice, Chapix, your trios champion from last season. These 2 trios trading places all day yesterday, boys. And now they're looking to make this an all-out brawl.
Yeah, only 1 point between them and 13 points between first down to 5th. This is an absolute battle right now for the championship. This is set up so good coming into the games you're going to watch today because this is going to be so incredibly tense. We already know there are so many possibilities for team going all the way through. And I think, you know what, me and Levin, we kind of touched on this yesterday a little bit. I think we doubted Hen, Janice, and Chapix a little bit. You know, we said, oh, these guys are contested right now off their drop spot. I think a lot of people, including us, weren't even putting them in their top 5, despite the fact they've been performing as a top team all the way through. But look, these guys are proving why they are potentially the best team in Europe, but maybe not even that, the world.
Yeah, look, you know, these guys silenced all the doubters they had, most definitely. You know, people expect teams that are contested to not do as well. And they finished the first day in second place. And, you know, they're poised to finish in first place as long as they have a good day, right? Just 1 point behind first. It's going to be a race to see who can finish that at the end of the day. But many other of these teams are still in great positions, right? The likes of Flickenlass and Thomas, who are heavy favorites, they still have a shot today. It's going to be about being able to get those points on the boards. Even if we look at the second page, right? The teams who are 11th to 20th, a lot of talent here who has the ability to potentially make a comeback, right? You take a look at the likes of Kinsel, iDrop, and Wakey. You know, Joe Stompy and Shadow, who literally won a game yesterday but weren't able to do anything else out of that. Can they potentially sort of have a bit more consistency, right? You know, Reese, so many of the most talented names in Fortnite on this page.
Yeah, some of the best names. You know, like I said, we saw Vidil, Noor, Riley, and Reason, who are currently in 16th, pop off of winning the big victory royale in Game 1 yesterday. If they come out with the steam that they had today in Game 1 and continue that on, they may rise completely up. And it's definitely not something we've seen in any other region over and over again. So we've seen these changes going around in the leaderboard. Some teams down here managing to make themselves all the way up to the top 3, and we could definitely be seeing that here today.
Let's take a look at the highlights, though. Let's take you back to the beginning of yesterday when Risen, Vidil, and O'Reilly won that first game. They had a crazy play. Look, forget that guy in Lazy Lake. These were the real Kaisers to start the day because, you know, they started with the way you'd typically expect them to sort of finish, right, with a huge win.
Yeah, and you notice they drop straight down into the water, managed to catch themselves so clutch. That's probably one of the moments of the tournament that we'll remember the most. But game number 2 was won by Refsguard, Andrea, and Savage, who managed to win using the med kit heal off. Remember, they're currently our first place leaders, but this game was really where they solidified themselves using the corn as well. Not something we really see very typically.
Yeah, you can see game 3, Joe, Stompy, and Shadow were able to win a game. We talked about it on the leaderboards. Outside of this game, they weren't able to do much, right? So they had their win from high ground, typical of them in terms of their playstyle. But it's going to be about really being able to have more games like this over the course of these 6 games.
Yeah, and you know, this is the turning point in the tournament for us. This was Hen, Janice, and Chapik's game number 4, where they showed that even contested, these guys can pick up big victory royales. And this is where they climbed really high up the leaderboards from their first victory royale, but extremely impressive stuff for them. And this wasn't even their first and only victory royale of the game.
Yeah, you take a look now, you know, the last moments of the tournament, really, right? The last couple of games where things really do start to get intense. You know, we had, you know, great finish, and if anything, the likes of Queasy, Trulex, and Juriki winning a game here. You can see Trulex dropping down, hitting key shots to win them the game in the end. A phenomenal performance. But we started, or I should say we finished with the team who won it all last season, right? The FNCS champions picked up that final game, and what a zone to do it, right?
Exactly the same as Zone 1 almost, and they won 2 games as well. So no surprise, these guys learned from that game 1, and here we go, winning game number 6.
So clean. And that package was absolutely insane, by the way. The hype, I just felt it once again, just coursing through my veins. Okay, we got to set the stage a little bit coming into day number 2. Okay, I'm kind of curious to pick your brain a little bit, Reese. I wanted to see, you know, some of these trios are having a difficult time just landing and getting these contested POIs and making it out alive. So I'm curious to see, like, do you think trios might be changing up their drop spots coming into day number 2?
Yeah, and I think if you look at the leaderboard, you have to think, right, if we're dropping, say, for example, the 2 teams currently in retail row, we've got Wolfie's team going against Kiko's team, both not performing too well in the leaderboards right now. Both, I think, 20th all the way down till 33rd, I think, somewhere in that range. So they're basically going to have to think, what are we going to change up in our strategy? And Wolfie's team during the qualifier and also during the heats have ended up dropping in Dirty Docks and also Steamy Stacks. So you've got to think, if it's not working out for them so far in retail, maybe they go Dirty and contest Thomas Flick and Anas, or maybe even up to Steamy and contest our current place leaders, which has potentially been alluded to on Twitter so far already by Wolfie. So could see some changes in drop spots today.
Yeah, I think that's always bound to happen on that second day, right? Teams sort of maybe get a bit nervous about how they performed on the first day, so they look to switch things up. Definitely a possibility.
All right, Levin, talk to me about some sleeper teams, because I feel like you've got one that didn't get much broadcast time yesterday, but they're still performing extremely well.
Well, yeah, Zeke, there were 3 teams in the top 10 that stood out to me for contrasting reasons, right? You know, Kiriachi, Stormy, right, and Toos over at Slurpee. Really interesting team, one of the best teams mechanically in all of Europe, and they were incredibly consistent. They played incredibly well, but the one thing that stood out to me, 2.83 average eliminations, lowest of anybody in the top 10. Weird for a team who you maybe expect to be a bit more aggressive outside of Slurpee, right? Taking a look over at Misty Meadows though, Pizza, Ardit for Strokey, a record-breaking team from the qualifying weeks. Complete opposites, right? 5 average eliminations, the second highest of anybody in all of the lobby, right? These guys were incredibly aggressive, gaining a lot of their points via eliminations, and all the way at the top of the map, right? This one is the most peculiar one to me. This one's the one Now, they had no games in the top 10. That's like weird. How do you get top 10 without any games in the top 10? Crazy stuff. If they can be a bit more consistent, imagine where they could finish, right? Way higher than top 10 you'd expect. So be interesting to see how these guys do out of Stealthy Stronghold.
Absolutely. Now, boys, we got to talk about this, all right? Flick, Anas, Thomas HG, a trio we think can go all the way, but right now they're coming into day number 2 in 8th. I mean, what do they need to do? What do we need to change up to climb?
Positions a bit deep in the zone, so they have a larger range of teams to storm surge tags. Nothing too, you know, out of the norm, nothing too spectacular, but just a small tweak that they could make.
Now, I kind of want to shift topics really quickly because I want to remind everybody of our predictions coming into day number 2 of the finals. Levin, Shayo, you both agree that Anas Flick and Thomas HG, and this is why I brought up my point, because you do think they could go all the way.
Yeah, I'm sticking with the boys. I think they will be hungry to finally get that FNCS championship win, and they are still poised to really, you know, put a good performance into the sitting in 8th at the moment. There is still hope for them.
Yep, and you know, I've gone with Tayson, Nate, and 4ZR. You know, these guys have fixed all their mistakes, it seems, and into yesterday, when I spoke to Tayson, he said, as soon as we get Storm Surge, we are fine, and that's exactly what they did on day 1. They did have a little bit lower average eliminations than they normally would, so if today we see them with large pop-offs, this is going to be them climbing up the leaderboards, potentially looking for that championship again.
Yeah, and Sancho looks like a genius because his pick is in first right now with Refsguard, Savage, and Andretta, so if they can just stay there, Sancho's going to take it all today.
Absolutely. Well, we're not wasting any more time. It's time to kick off the competition. We're going over to Sancho S and Shy Wager to start our day.
This is the finale of the finals, the last day of a multi-week event. Whether you're in Party Royale, on the couch, or watching along with your friends, welcome to the European FNCS. Sancho, a slew of games to play today, $1.3 million on the line for EU as well. This is going to be insane.
And don't you go anywhere because the action is already kicking off with our #1 place team being contested at Steamy Stacks. We all saw this going down on social media. Will it be Wolfie's actually here? No, it's actually Nexus Trio. This is what we're talking about. The adjustments are already happening in day 2 because $1 million+ are on the line, and the championship is at stake. And here is our defending champions, Hen, Janice, and Chapix, already trading between Highcrest. It is a deja vu moment, the sequel to the fireworks that we saw in day 1. Shayo, it's already picking up, baby. It is the FNCS EU.
Yeah, and it's absolute deja vu. Highcrest already going down inside the first game. We saw 12 games played yesterday. In all, or 6 games played yesterday. There's 12 games to play. In all 6, these guys fought over and over again. Highcrest either going down first or Hen this time. It will be Highcrest. Knight and Vortex will have to try to pick up the slack here, but with a top-tier trio who's won this POI over and over, just breathing down your neck, it seems absolutely impossible.
Here we go. These are very important moments. Looks like Andretta actually gets knocked, so we'll keep an eye on the feed on that here. That is our #1 team, already a knock against them. Let's go ahead and focus back in here. Chapix, Hen, on the like basically so close getting a repeat championship.
We'll flip back and forth between those POIs. Now the fight's actually breaking down at Steamy Stacks. Savage, Refsguard seem to have wiped Screwy and Nexus off the face of the Fortnite Island, just with a little bit of a consequence of Andretta getting knocked. It feels like Sancho just got a free buff points off spawn. There wasn't really any much contention whatsoever. I think Savage might actually still be looking for the rest of the squad for the moment. They might be slightly split, looking at how things are going so far, but with this loadout, there should be no problems at all for Savage to wrap things up.
This is what they were worried about going into day 2. They thought they will be contested. Usually Steamy Stacks in the EU region is historically heavily contested. Last season, Andretta Resguard with Scram dealt with 2-3 trios at times contested in there. So there's no stranger to that. They expected it. They bot review it and they were ready. And now Janice, Hit, and Chapix were ready for Highcrest. Once again, Vortex is going to be left alone right now, and they're going to actually go ahead and catch him out in the bush. So far,
the Bush Ranger
it is
play.
The Bush Tray, when you all got it in the back pocket, that's all you can do. And right now, you're looking at a 6-1 advantage right now going Hen's way. And anytime any team walks out of Craigie, they do really well. And when Hen's team walks out of Craigie, they get double-digit victory royales. That is the potential of the pop-off that they have here. But Shayo, pop-off potential for Thomas H. Flicking on us. Day 2 is usually their day.
Yeah, usually on day 2, this team you're watching on screen really ends up popping off. They're landing at Dirty Docks, and if this is your first time watching the FNCS, the early game is just about controlling where you land. You guys probably have your spots too of where you want to go. It could be big like Dirty, it could be small like this junction sort of, you know, POI where Red Rush, Exterios are dropping at. They have a huge split where they travel around the map. There's many different things to do. The basic rule for everyone, though, is just to survive. If you're fighting anyone, you got to win that fight. So we already saw it happen. The big names coming off of spawn unscathed, basically. And everyone else is, you know, really amping up to have a very good first game. There's still 30 trios alive right now. The only two that have dropped we watched, that was Screwy's trio and then High Chris's at Craggy Cliffs. Everyone else is just going to be rotating now, looking for lots of damage around the map.
And that was our third place team, Asterios, with Red Rush and Mappy, with a kind of an unexpected performance. Not anybody really had them. Red Rush, the FNCS squad champion, alongside with Asterios and Mappy, they had a really solid day. They kind of played conservatively. They were able to get a lot of placement points alongside with some valuable elims. But the thing that they have to work on is, can they continue that pace? They're pretty much playing out of body, like we mentioned yesterday, and that's pretty difficult to do in a high stakes lobby like this one.
Absolutely. And for this team on screen, I mean, you can see the stat, the importance for these guys on the second day of competition. It's more monumental than any other team we're going to be watching today. For like Anas and Thomas HD, their day ones usually are kind of scraping by. They'll be in the top 10. It won't be something crazy we're watching, but on day 2, they really start popping off. Sometimes you see multiple victory royales. We see lots of high placement games. The issue is, I'm not sure looking at this lobby if it's going to be as easy as before. Just look at the map, how spread out it is for every single team, where the zone is going to be looking at as well. The level of competition is so high, and for these guys on the top right to be able to perform, I mean, they're gonna have to pull out miracles from inside of them. Like, it is so difficult, especially with so many good players in the lobby, to be consistent, be at the top. They can't miss out on one game, especially the first game, the one we're watching right now. They're gonna have to do a very, very good job while they're playing, or their entire momentum will be just thrown away for the day.
We already saw a taste of zone 1. It's going to be a northern zone. So you have Hen Trio looking really solid. You know, we already talked about Levin, talked about at the analyst desk. Nebs' trio has been doing really solid, considering they had not been finishing in the top 10. If you go back and VOD review Nebs' trio, game 3, they ran over some of the biggest names in the region, getting 5+ eliminations. I think 8. And that is something that I have to keep my eye on the rest of the way, because they were taking out the likes of Clement. They were taking out the likes of Adil's trio. So, hey, you got to watch out for Nebs, who kind of surprised everyone during the qualifier stage, being able to qualify out of Stealthy Stronghold. They're looking really good, already primed to have a fantastic day 2, just like in Dreda, Revsguard, and Savage. And I think you said it really good, Shio. Basically, so sometimes it's good to get contested, because now they could just go ahead and post up. You don't have to really worry about Storm Surge. And even though they didn't really have problems within day 1, this makes things alleviate just a little bit there.
Watching Wakey Eye dropping can also rotate some people who are dropping on the way outsides of the map.
Oh my!
We'll have to resort to just going inside cars. Sometimes, though, depending on how and where you're rotating, you can just get battered up while you drive around the map. The big thing about day 2 is just to make sure you're playing that first game very close to the chest. Sometimes we're watching EU yesterday. While the game started to go on a little bit, people started to experiment, play a little bit more loose. We had, like, you know, not that many people surviving, lots of people fighting in zone. This time, though, at least for this game, everyone's taking it very seriously. You're going to start seeing a lot of bases pop up around the map. iDrop's already doing it. Here's Pizza, Ardent, and Fast Roki. This trio is the most troublesome on this entire day and on the Fortnite map. Their actual strategy is to play around other people, make sure when they're actually lacking and not watching, they take over their position. They love the third-party fights. You can see it right now. They're bothering another trio, just trying to rotate. They have to make an entire wall just to get by this river. This is crazy. The Fast Roki Ardent Pizza, especially in the endgame, man, they love taking over height and just interrupting people. The crazy thing is, though, when there's no one to actually counter, they don't actually end up doing too much. They end up not having a game plan set in stone. So I hope they find a trio to kind of act off of, or they might be in trouble.
Now we're taking a look at Bloomy's trio, putting pressure down on Tayson's trio. Builds are on fire because the car exploded. Bloomy's trio is kind of a trio that's coming from that west coast of Fort Crumpet. If you didn't watch yesterday, they've been doing solid work, considering they've been avoiding a lot of the kind of the scary trios coming out of that side of the map. And they did really well. They've been around the top 10. A lot of people expected them just to be Storm Surge tags for that side of the map, but they were able to get away, make some smart rotations, rotate early, like reset how important it can be. Now, when I was watching Tayson and ForZR, they kind of play a little bit conservative. Even though they made it to in-game, they weren't really looking for eliminations. They were just looking for placement. If they can match what we all know what they can with that elim firepower that they do have behind their trio, they can essentially move up the leaderboard a little bit faster rather than just staying kind of in the middle of the top pack.
Yeah, Red Rush on your screen now, 4-0 that we were watching before. A lot of these invisible type trios have just survived so far on the first day. For day 2, if they want to end up coming first, yeah, you got to hit these shots like Mappy is right now as well, but you have to start playing for the win. Take some risks and grab this game for your own trio.
That's what I was about to ask you, Shayo. Is it just about being conservative and trying to sit all the placements, or is it about going for the win? And you answered it right there. You got to go for the win because no one's going to give you the crown. You're going to have to take it from our defending FNCS champions and Hens trio.
Sometimes, depending on the zone, you never know exactly. The game can give you that win. Yesterday, we saw the craziest things towards the south side. When I'm looking at the middle of the map, though, all these consistent type trios who end up playing low ground, they end up winning out the games a little bit more. It's very difficult for Height to do much. You get bounce back zones. They don't have that much room to end up getting eliminations. And eliminations are also a big wave and name of the game. Take these two trios, for example, as well. Trulex Squeezy on the bottom side, DKS Gray and Shakaz on top. Trulex, the guy on your screen right now, glorious and no pun intended at just playing these end games and having a position on Height. These guys controlled the game yesterday so much from the 5th zone onwards, but then basically choked after that. They could not hold on to that title spot, the big all the way up top high ground, and other teams rolled over them. Maybe they can clap back today. You have to make changes. That's what Wolfies is going for on your screen right now. Actually bullying Exteriors and Mappy, but maybe just looking for damage. They'll move on. You don't want to throw your game over just one mid-game fight. You want to survive for the whole entire time.
You're looking at what's happening, the adjustments already. Wolfies was 15-15, that yellow house. Games 1-2. They kind of split retail row against Kiko's trio. Now they're rotating early. We're seeing the retail row teams rotate early. Scram's trio, the other retail row, is rotating towards Lazy Lake. This time, Wolfies is kind of pushing that Cammy split, and that Cammy split right now is being held down by Red Rush's trio.
We talked about early game as well in terms of how players want to, go about their game. It's about defending your drop spot. Now towards mid game, you'll see this cool little graphic above the mini map on the right side. It says damage threshold 121 above for Deuce. This entire mechanic is called Storm Surge. So basically, when you're rolling in this game, there's so many players that end up staying alive. You want to give these guys a challenge and make sure the entire server is staying healthy as well. So 90 players will have to drop down to 70 for this entire player threshold, and that's decided by how much damage they do. So you basically have to deal damage or you get dealt damage by this purple lightning that comes down. You'll see it in a second. Deuce is ahead of it right now. Everyone after their drop spots is playing for this Storm Surge threshold. They'll look for damage. For Deuce, it was long range beams. Over here, it's box fights between 5 different trios. Kiko last alive on his squad. Dementos following closely behind them. This is a horror movie. He's trying to move forward. So many beams from all spots. There's an arrow in his elbow. This has to hurt. He's going down, and that's one trio taken out.
Sometimes you take arrows to the shin, but there's nothing like an arrow to the elbow. That's going to knock you down. That's going to take you out. But now Podesai one last MXR with back, like very last place right now. They have been very inconsistent. They were going down to Stealthy Stronghold. In fact, game 5, they were kind of splitting some randomness. But now maybe they could come up and kind of shake up that bottom of the board, because right now they're affecting this rotation right here just by being here.
Hey, you're talking about randomness. What is this? This is, I'm counting like 7 different trios at the same time fighting in Storm. There's Fast Roki, the Interrupters, High Ground fighting Stompy right. Down below, Dementos is not stopping. Jamside is going down in the build.
Oh, man.
This is a crazy 6-way fight. ST's here too, making it off spawn for, I think, the first time I'm watching, and they're looking real good with this loadout.
This is just a repeat of day 1. All the Southern teams from Misty Meadows, Lazy Lake, Caddy Corner, all being late on the rotations and all colliding as you're seeing Jamside getting eliminated by Podesai. This is what's happening the entire tournament. It looks like it's going to be a repeat in day 2. If any of these trios want to get better for the day in placement, they just have to avoid this kind of white line engagement that's happening right here, Shayo. This traffic jam hasn't stopped, and this is game 7 out of 12.
It's going to get crazy as the day goes on, too. These are teams playing conservative. Bad Sniper inside Storm, eating some damage, looking for an angle. Not going to really find it, but has some meat to eat, so it's all good on his end. Once again, in terms of reading what's going on screen, it might be confusing. There's health bars to watch. Once that threshold thing pops up on the right side as well, that's like an extra health bar to kind of show you guys how the trio is doing. If they're about 300, 400 damage above, it's really good. Anything below that, sometimes they could be in trouble. There's even more trios, though, still inside the storm. Hellfire's so far back. Okay, never mind. It's the reverse side. They're actually in. Everyone's looking good. Oh, look at this. So many people, Sancho, playing side by side, close together. And like, this is going to be rough rotates all the way across.
A very nightmare type of rotation if the zone keeps pulling north, but also a nightmare start for Red Rush, Asterios, and Mappy down already. Our third place team is out. That gives room for ForceR, Tasted, and Nate to move up the board, and Queasy, Trulix, and Jerky right now. Like, you nailed it, man. They've been holding on to height. They will be at height. Like, about 4 out of the 6 games, they were on height, and they got it taken away from them. And only one of them, they were able to hold on and get a victory royale. So expect this team to continuously to fight for height, to expend all their mats to hold on to height, do whatever that they can, because they're all in for that strategy. And when you go all in, you saw it already, they get down into shambles. But I'm expecting them to at least get 1 or 2 victory royales here today.
This is such a weird game, though. Yesterday, we were watching organized driving, basically. Everyone in their own lanes, way far away. They were, following traffic laws. This time, I'm watching bumper cars. I'm looking at trios just bouncing off of each other, shooting over and over again. No one is leaving space for anyone to walk by. Even Nate, so far away from his trio, is looking to affect this one. Trulex getting hard beamed. This is troublesome.
This is just what it means, that how much eliminations are. 2 points apiece, Shile. Expect people to go for more elims because they have to make up some ground to catch up to the top of the leaderboard.
Everyone's also just bunched up at the south side right now. There's a river all the way in between. Some elevation will be tricky to actually navigate. There is one big hill, and there are some kings on it. A god trio, maybe, who's watching. Kind of an opposite lifeguard on this river. They're actually looking to take out people who might be drowning, and everyone's gonna have to start to swim in just a second. Jerky's already down, so Trulix and Queasy are already looking bad, and look at who they have to go by. Snazy, Andalex, Tuz Kiriachi, Shakel's up top. This is like playing a game on the hardest veteran difficulty, and you have no ammunition. Your movement speed is slower as well. I don't know how they're gonna get out of this one.
This is gonna be a ruthless rotation. All eyes to see who could be able to look at all the hard mats already expended here, because they have been box fighting. They have been trading blows here. The entire south side of the map here in zone 4. Let's take a look at it. Yes, so many trios are on the south side here. The north side is still a little bit going to be troublesome, but not so much. And there's already a team right there in the orange in the middle of that map. They're going to have strong positioning. That is the high point of this section. But the river is available for rotations. On the top right of your screen, that is Squeeze's trio, who've had a rough start to their tournament run. Shifting down to Camp Cod, having trouble with Storm Surge, not being able to get what they normally do. Let's see how they do here in day 2, making those adjustments.
No one's holding anything back. Stormy Red already going down. Tuz Kiriachi, they need consistent games. The reason they're inside the top 10 right now is they're really good on placement. Just like all these teams you see on your screen. They're lacking eliminations. Janice and Chapix doing their classic, what we saw yesterday. Low ground mountainous rotation. Every time they end up doing this, the zone plays for them. I'm not sure if this is like a type of rain dance, but they get every zone when they're in this position. They look good while doing it, and they end up clutching games.
We already saw who's at height holding it. It is Vidil's trio who've made those game plan movements that they were talking about, those adjustments. They said on social media, we have a plan. We saw yesterday, they were kind of just pushing everything, getting in some scrums in mid-game, rotating late, but now they're early, and now they have prime position to get beams. So now they're changing up their box fighting mentality for Storm Surge, and they're just going to do it from a distance. Wow, I'm impressed.
And they came through yesterday with a crazy win in the first game as well. 12 total eliminations. Looked really good. Are these guys hot starters, though? Because after that, it was just mistake after mistake. They fell down the board, and they're in 16th place now. They used to be first on the day, and they ended at 16th.
If they could just chill out a bit, just don't use the NOS, don't use the turbo, just kind of just ease off the gas just a little bit, coast, put that bad in close, and maybe they could just get on through. Because when they get to in-game, they're dangerous. We have yet to see them perform in this tournament at in-game.
Jason 4ZR, Nate, similar type of circumstance. They just need to end up grabbing this game for themselves. I watched a lot of people rotating beside them. I'm still feeling a little bit of a survival vibe from this trio. They're not looking to be in a big spot to win the game currently, but at the same time, they have a max zone to rotate. So let's hold off on that for a second. Tayson getting tagged from the right side. There's even other trios rotating later than this. they have to move through a maze. They don't have a map. They're not sure what's going to be in front of them right here. It's going to be Wakey and Floki and Decipto setting a trap. Andalex uses the river and goes by fast. MXR one last pot aside. They're moving too. And right above them is Bad Sniper with Andretta as a solo player. Refsguard and Savage down. How did this happen? This is your first place team right now, cumulatively over the 7 games. I know it just says 7 points right there, but that's just for day 2. The first place team has 1 person left. If Andretta goes down, their team stops getting placement, they might drop out of first. All eyes are on Andretta for this end game, and there's so many people looking to take him out to try to grab the lead.
Andretta has to go back at the time machine. He finished 24th in the World Cup solos, so he could kind of dip into the past, pull that rabbit out of the hat. Maybe there's some magic here because his job is just all about getting placement as many points as possible before he gets lobbied.
Oh no, this is trouble. This is the 3rd time I'm watching this happen.
It happens.
This happens, CS.
It happens.
Throwing these things close range, they're so lethal though. Look at Boobok's health just go down more and more. Now he's at 30, used to be at 100. He's going down to 20 as well. It's so hard to run away from those Stingfish, but once again, you use them in close range, they end up doing damage to you as well. This entire box too, this complex of builds has so many top trios and making sure your met gets up. These guys are going all in on their HP. They're looking to just take this end game by storm.
Oh, yeah, and the storm has already moved away from all of our competition. The first moving has been revealed and is going back towards Dirty Docks. This is going to be a very dirty, a very dangerous rotation. And Thomas AC and Austin Flick, we said that day 2 is their day. Are they going to be able to seize it and have that pop-off game, Shio?
This is not only the most important day, but this has to be the most important game. The thing we've seen on EU, especially early, is people like to contest height. They like to interrupt Thomas, Flick, and Anas, but look how far this split goes. Thomas is back in an old zone a minute away. Anas and Flick are already all the way on the front side, building a new base. So these guys have real estate on all corners of the map. Janice Hen and Chapix, they're going down to on the backside of Storm. Man. This is absolutely ruthless. People have to make it up a mountain, go down a mountain. It's tough. The hill's in the way, and Chapix is the last person alive on this squad to make the rotate.
Chapix is usually the tarper. He could navigate these builds. He could do those layer switches. He could just hold on as much as possible, but he cannot just get any attention looking his way. Down at the ultimate low with only 25 HP. This is the defending champion here who had the momentum leaving from day 1, walking away with the Victory Royale. He's going to do all that he can. Now they're in the 2nd threshold of placement. But let's take an eye on high. Thomas AC, Anas, and Flick here, putting some pressure down below. They have the ammo. Look at the AR. They have all the options they can to put the pressure down on low ground.
Every player playing scared, but fear gets relieved as the zone actually bounces back. Everyone on middle and low ground, even the people getting struck by this purple lightning from Storm Surge, are safe and can breathe for the moment. Height will have to work overtime to try to break these builds and go for shots. Look how tough it is. Brick builds everywhere. Metal. Wow. Vidil, Noah Riley, they're surviving on low. They get to have a little bit of a break. Yeah, even Andretta's alive. The first place team has 1 player. He takes out Sun in mid-ground. Meanwhile, Thomas, Flick, and Anas are looking for anything right now. They only have 2 eliminations, Sancho. I've never seen them this, unaffected on the lobby. This is troublesome for them. They need to try to wrap up this game.
Yeah, but this is where they start cooking up there as they both get iRes and Andretta right there. This is where they start getting eliminations, when the lobby starts getting really tight and congested right now. The most important thing is their builds are so low, so they're going to have to get closer. Already, they're setting up someone with the heals. Thomas AC is holding on to some medkits here, so he is going to be that heal-up win condition. Anas and Flicker have to go down here, but look, Noah Riley and Badil and Reason are there on the low ground, and they're going to clean up this layer here, and they get Etsy, and they get Bad Sniper. Noah Riley and Badil and Reason are here in the end game, and they have the potential to pop off even more, baby!
Low ground scrappy, high ground free. There's so many different types of scenes we're seeing so far in this game. 1 trio in the middle. Flick falls down, big fall damage. Noah Riley in his box. He's in a pit of Vipers, and there's no chances to survive. It's too venomous. Thomas HD and Anas have to do this as a duo. They've done it before, but at the same time, there's so many different players of high calibers down below.
With the zone going towards their backyard, this is going to be the game that could be the signature game that I was talking about in day 1. They already almost had it, but Hen took that away from them. They're not going to let it go away here. Marvin with a phenomenal performance, the best performance they had today.
Now this is where zone tries to get so hard for the low ground trios. It's so tricky. Everything's kind of just getting claustrophobic. The walls are closing in. The zone's pushing people next to A big mountain, one last gets taken out. There's no harpoon here. Yes, Anas only has 7 builds, but it might be enough to last just 50 seconds. They have to connect to this build. They're beaming down. It's lasers from the sky, and not even a planet could survive this pressure. Right now, Marvin, he's working around the build. Somehow everyone's escaped. Thomas is going for the beams when Anas finds the first. They're still staying up. It's a patient game. Reason last alive, 2v1, and he could still do it. He has all the mats from the eliminated bodies below. We're going over a bridge. It's going to be a stalemate for about 30 seconds. If Anas and Thomas don't drop down, yeah, they're not going to. They're going to stay up, and Reason has some time to breathe.
What does Reason have in his inventory if he has enough builds just to hold out here? Reason, they had the day 1 victory royale, game 1 popped off huge. If Reason could clutch it, no! Anas says not so fast. Big elbow jump, but Reason claps back. Reason still can't get the siphon. He does. If he can find Thomas HT, Reason could have the clutch. Oh my goodness! What? Are you kidding me? Reason gets the victory royale. How, bro? How? Shio, are you kidding me? Are you kidding
Thomas
me?
HD, 1 second off of the med kit all the way on high ground is what I basically see and how it looks like. Reason gets the siphon at the last millisecond of time as well, wins out the game. This man, not even a troll under a bridge, a goat under a bridge, clutches the unclutchable.
Man, let's just go to the desk. Go to the desk.
What the heck am I watching? This is just the first game. Wow, dude. Okay, listen. Reason got put in one of the most difficult situations you can be put in as a trio. You have one member left alive in those final few zones, and that member's thinking, okay, what do I have to do? Like, what? At this point, is it placement? Is it elims? He's like, you know what? Let me just channel my Sprite energy and just roll up in there and get the victory royale, Reese. That's what I like to see.
We cannot have tier 1 teams messing up medkit timings in the end game. We saw Thomas hit the zone, and then as he started to pop the medkit, you saw him start to move a little bit afterwards. He'd already messed up to start with. This is like a clinical play that we have to have locked down. We've seen a lot of this actually on NA East of them messing up the timings of it. We're actually really yet to see that, and that definitely was a bit of a choke, which allowed Reason just absolutely to pop off. And you notice he was live as a solo for a long time as well. Huge props to Reason for clutching that, but they did win game 1 yesterday. Will they manage to keep the steam going?
This is the story of last season's, champions, because you look at the last 2 teams there. This is the 3rd place team from last season versus the 2nd place team from last season. And if you actually remember back to last season, Reason had some phenomenal clutches back then as well. And he's back this season with just the clutch genes in his veins. How has he won a 1v2 against one of the best teams in the world? Like, just frame it like that, and you start to really understand how crazy what he just did is. And, we could be coming back in about 5 games and looking at that as being a defining moment in what turned their tournament around. That victory royale pushes them up the standings.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, man. Even just being able to say, like, even if you just ended in 2nd place, it's like, wow, you clutched up so hard to at least hit 2nd. Nope. Let me just 1v2 this other trio. No problem. That's how we start the competition here on day number 2 of the finals. Now let's talk about drop spots. Reese, at the very beginning of the show, I asked you if anything would be changed up. Did anything get changed up?
Minorly. Look, minor things changed up.
Okay.
But some things don't change there, Zeke, because you know what? If you ever watched Kiriachi's gameplay before, this team's been dropping here for a long time. But what's very important and very critical is the absolute sharpshooter eye that Kiriachi has. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. That stormed me down instantly.
That is insane. Look, we know what he can do with those kind of rifles in his hands. Similar things can be said in terms of Pizza Ardit for Strokey. These guys, day 1, we talked about how aggressive they were in terms of eliminations, how successful they were out of Misty. And to start off with, they were obviously known to be contested at Misty, but they've still remained fine. And it looks like they have the potential to maybe replicate what's happened yesterday, since it doesn't seem like they'll have too many problems there. Similar things could be said for Flickiness and Thomas. However, we just saw there at the end, it's all going to well having your drop spot uncontested. You can't win the crucial 2v1. What does it all mean? Regardless, though, you take a look at the standings and things don't look too different yet, considering that Hen's trio and Refscar's trio did sort of go down before those sort of closing moments. But even with that being said, you can see Flickiness and Thomas up there in 3rd place now. Forzy, Tayson, and Nate sitting in 4th. Queasy, Trulex, and Juriki sitting in 5th. You know what's funny, Reese, when I look at this? This is literally almost my top 5 prediction list, except for Hen, Janus, and Chapix. Like, all the teams we predicted to do well are performing right now.
Absolutely, and this has just gone even closer. Apart from, let's be real, Hen, Janus, Chapix pulling away a little bit with their eliminations off spawn that they got. That's obviously a good few points. And no, you know, Chapix clutched all the way up till 9th by himself there. So 2 moving zones he managed to make it through, which was really, really big for the team. That's why they've started to kind of take that lead a little bit. Again, Andrea managed to do a similar thing, clutching them all the way to 12th. So great performance from these guys. But again, Kiriachi's team, you know, some of these other teams down that we kind of just mentioned, they're still middling, right? In that 7th till 8th and 9th. We did see Bubak up in the end game again, so that's then moved them up 2 slots as well. And then from that big victory royale, now Reason, Vidil, Noah Riley up into the top 10. So 5 more games to go. Hopefully they're going to be able to keep that steam going.
Oh man, momentum, baby. We have it. We have more games here waiting for us. A lot of these trios are looking to shut down this top 3 because remember, it's top 3 that will auto-qual going into Chapter 2 Season 7. But you know what time it is, Fortnite fam. We're getting right back aboard the battle bus. Make way, because Sancho West and Shywage are coming through. They're your casters for the game once again. Let's kick it back their way.
Game number 2 of day number 2, and I'm not even still over that first one, Sancho. If that's how things are going to go today, I am not ready.
I think that's how it's going to go today. It's going to go down to the last moment. We saw last season, it went down to the final game, the final rotations, the final moments. Our top 3 was still up, and this is the defending champions once again, who are essentially getting 6 points out of this engagement. And they could keep up that pace, and Chapix getting that 9th place finish. They have an opportunity to just barely outpace Indretta's trio, who's been going. After Indretta's victory royale, that trio basically just kind of just averaged out the rest of the way. Low elims, decent placement, and if that continues to happen here in day 2, I think we'll see a back-to-back championship.
I'm liking how you mentioned the fact that they're getting, you know, these elims off spawn for free, basically. They're the only team to have multiple double-digit elims from yesterday, the 10+. So, you know, a big factor of that is these 3 elims off spawn that they're getting the chance to get every game and have, as you said, what? 6-1 so far right now. Like, they're looking real good off spawn. At the moment, it's a little bit more, you know, conservative approaching this fight. We see Knight, Vortex, and Hycris. I think they got the bunker chest. They have a lot of power off this POI, but Chapix and Janus have a wide split. They had so many, a lot of access to so many chests. Hycris on the backside now. He's trying to look to go and engage on this trio, but at the same time, they have so many shields to pop and extras to hold on to too. They will win this war, but it's about that first battle as well. If they go down early, if one person gets picked, I think that's the only way Hycris really has a chance here.
Correct, and that has happened, and we've seen clutches between Janus and Chapix able to pick up the pace after Hens getting knocked.
I'm calling it already though. Just looking at the state of Vortex's shields, it's too late. If elims needed to happen, it needed to happen now. Is Chapix actually going for this? I mean, he's feeling himself. The bow and arrow close range, but not going to be able to hit that type of shot. Hycris and Vortex are just desperate right now over these builds. They're looking for anything. They need one big shot, but even then, look at the minis in Chapix's inventory. He has so many to delay this fight. Mats are the only thing. They have 5. They've made so much investment into making this big bridge, underground base, and goes back into another house. Chapix follows. Vortex has no idea where he is. They're refarming again.
The big thing that Hycris' trio is holding on to is they did have a top 10 finish with about 7 or 8 elims. So they understand that if they're able to walk away, they'll be able to have a big game themselves.
And look at the trick that Janus, Hen, and Chapix have done at this POI. They basically forced Vortex, Knight, and Hycris to go over to this left side. They used to have so much control. Janus staying back a little bit now has a chance for a big flank to actually corner these guys. They had complete control of the POI. Janus is going up, fighting 2 people by himself. It's Knight and Vortex. Chapix has to peek from down below. 5 builds left on Janus as well. He's gonna try to run away, farm what he can as he moves inside a building. Yes, that's where you have the most protection. He's gonna play sneaky like. While he attracts all the attention, this makes room for Chapix and Hen on the other side to go all the way up. This is a back and forth, and it looks like they have the reads on Hycris' trio.
It really doesn't matter what weapons are in the inventory here in this engagement. We've seen a great makeshift shotgun get the job done. So you see that green makeshift normally in anyone else's hands, you'd be like worried, but look at it. It's going to be fine. They're setting up shy. I'll break this down for us.
Yeah, right now too, it's not only a war of HP and loadout, it's a war of resources. While Janus, I believe, was on the backside and used all his mats as a solo. When Hycris, Vortex, and Knight wanted to respond to him, all 3 of them had to use their mats to catch up. So They basically, look how many ramps are invested over here from all three players. They're losing this war on resources. Only Janus has basically used his mats right here. Chapix and Hen have been just farming up the whole time. We'll see how that goes. It looks like cerebrally is going to be Janus's team that's winning right now. At Steamy Stacks and Dreda, Savage, Refsguard, they had their early game fight. Slender got taken out immediately from what I saw over there. It'll be free for those guys to keep moving on. Right now, it just looks like Knight is confused. I'm not sure if he knows exactly where these guys are. Janus was out of builds. Now he's almost up to back to 200-300. It's about these resources. Just keep watching them. They have so many to farm down here. And Knight up top, he can't drop down to farm. As soon as they drop the farm, Janus will hear that. They'll go back up. Their position is so strong right now.
This is a great defensive stance. In the previous engagements, when I looked at the VOD, they have the potential to flank. Hen really went all the way towards Pristine Point, almost, it felt like. He went that way, looped back around, and got some big beams in the back. So this is not an engagement that's going to be over just yet. You already mentioned Retail Row already having issues. We saw as well Weeping Woods, Save It going down in the feed. That's been a battle that's been going back and forth the entire time, with Save It having the upper advantage, but momentum is going to be the big factor going forward.
Yeah, and why is this happening? Why is it different from before? You know, the last game we saw Janus and Chapix go for an immediate fight, and it was scrappy. It's because of the psychology around it. Look at the zone on the left. They have zone at Craggy. They can really draw this out, and they've baited High Chris all day into this fight. They know they're not going anywhere. They know they've basically are living in their heads rent-free, Janus at least, and they're going to go for this fight no matter what to try to win it. They're down 6-1 as well. Because of this, this is free surge tags for Janus. This fight will happen no matter what. And man, Vortex is getting antsy. They're already shooting shots down below Sancho. It really, right now, it seems like Hen, Chapix, and Janus are inside their heads.
The only time I've seen a disengagement here in the tournament is Hen's trio went to Flopper Island to disengage, to regain a little bit of resources, to regain a little bit HP, and then they came back and wiped out Knight. The thing that's going to be different here is that Trippers trio that usually rotates into that little clip area hasn't been here just yet. Now they're rolling in. They're rolling in right now, and they're going to send beams, and we saw Chapix get beamed from that area here, and that could be just enough for High Curse's trio to find that opening to get rid of Hen's trio.
Now, what Sancho's calling for is basically the third party of a different team on this left hill that comes in, and Uruguay 74, that's Chapix, by the way, was on high ground. He was in the position of this opposite team, Vortex, the night before. He got beamed hard. I think these guys have learned from that. They're now playing low. There's no chance that third party team can actually shoot them. So they're actually sitting pretty, waiting for Knight to make a move, and they can't. Meanwhile, on other sides of the map, Lazy Lake always active, especially with Bad Sniper Marvin and SC. They've actually moved towards the center of the map off the POI, chasing a fight. Bad Sniper with the big shots on the Dementos. They're still going forward. This one's getting real scrappy too. I mean, Sancho, no one's holding anything back on day two.
Not at all. And Marvin's trio had their best finish in game 1 of this day here, which is 7 out of the 12. But this is just a messy rotation. This southern rotation, I call it the struggle rotation, man. The struggle of the South right here that's happened real. Every time, we've already seen it in game 7. Now in game 8, you're seeing all the kind of chaos that's happening. Jamside hasn't had a great tournament run because of this, and you already seen Pizza, who's just able to be a little bit better because he's able to rotate. But now Pizza is actually late rotating here, as you see Fast Rookie Art and Pizza on the backside of this engagement down on Gorgeous Gorge.
I've never seen people voluntarily go down to the gorge, let alone 3 teams to fight. So there's definitely something weird going on for their game strategies.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, you know, what ends up happening in the EU is they stopped saying, you know what, I'm done doing long-range Storm Surge tags. I want a box fight. It happened last season. They get up in people's faces. The more confidence is happening, it's like, we could beat these guys. I could hear Levin saying it in my voice. We could beat these guys, and we could take it to them. And that's what I think what it is. More importantly, I said it in the previous game, Shayo, it comes down to elimination points being 2 points. You get that value out of that. We've already been seeing the 6 points that's been helping out Hen's trio kind of bolt them up a little bit. They took over first place against Revsguard's trio. Wow, this is a stalemate. It's
that gorge is looking anything but gorgeous right now with all those teams in there and all the builds. While that happens,
gorge.
4CR, Nate, and Tayson, they've almost even taken height over Percival. Actually, a misstep. Percival goes down, Tayson misses a ramp, and now he has high ground. That was too easy. And now he's on the chase down. Percival shaking in his boots, getting absolutely beast controlled. This is about to drop him in the box too. He's missing edits. What's going on here? all the way around. He has an infantry rifle that's not good close range. Has to throw over to the pump and land a big shot, but it's only green. He's gonna escape all the way and make sure he finds his way back to his team. Bloom took big shots. Percival actually down. You're trying to go toe-to-toe with Tayson, Nate, and 4ZR. I get it. Bloom, Percival, Tomzy, they're also really good at these fights, but this is outclassed matchup right now. These guys are just working this trio, and it's good to go for these mid-game fights, especially